We like to finish off our conversation in the spirit of something like 20 questions. It's technically Meir, not 20 questions. It's a little bit of word association. So I'm going to bring you some questions and you just do your best you can to what comes to top of mind in the shortest way possible. And we'll get to know you even a little bit better. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Tell us something about you that we wouldn't discover by having read your books, your papers, your resume, your CV, or any type of profile.
Well, one thing you're going to learn about me is that I'm child of Holocaust survivors. I was born in a refugee camp. Displaced person camp is the polite word for it. We came to Israel when I was 2 in 1949. The thing was that I thought that I'm a member of a wealthy family, even though in the 1950s, food in Israel was rationed. But my father worked in sort of grocery stores. And I, of course, thought that he owned that store. And I would come and he said that I can come and get candy. So I thought, well, that's my dad's candy. Except he said, you have to go to that man who is going to, and he wrote something down. And of course, my dad eventually paid for it. So these things about how kids think and what gives security, a sense of security to kids in a time when objectively they are poor, is something that is not known until I describe it as I just did.
Yeah, that's a great little anecdote. What a journey. Alrighty, something a little bit more lighthearted. Glidot, ice cream. That was for our listeners. Glidot is ice cream in Hebrew. Is that right? I believe I remember that. Because I am an ice creamitarian, so I'm a professional ice cream eater. Glidot, what do you prefer, chocolate or vanilla?
Oh, I'll take chocolate if given a choice, and don't ask me why. It just tastes better.
You know what? It's better that there's no reason. Just you choose to choose.
Exactly.
Pizza, straight up cheese, traditional, conventional, or with toppings?
Traditional. Actually, what I do is ask to hold the tomato sauce. I don't care for that combination of tomatoes and cheese. And so if you have good crust and good cheese on top, it can be a variety of cheeses or one kind. That is best for me. And so it's sometimes is awkward because people like it kind of traditional with all the sauce and so on. And I ask, can you have just a small one without or something?
You're making me hungry.
Such that I'm not hungry and my friends are not hungry either.
Yeah, you're making me hungry. What's the last book you read?
Well, I am reading now a book that is called Freedom's Dominion. I'm really interested in society, in politics, and this book is about the word freedom that people use in many ways. And so one way people use the word freedom is really the freedom to own slaves. So it goes back to history. And of course, today we don't think of freedom as a freedom to own, but you can see how people use the word freedom in many ways. And more often than not, they use it in ways that kind of favor them, that serve their interests. So that is interesting. Another book that I am reading is called Roe, about Roe v. Wade.
Right.
It is called, I think its subtitle is American Obsession. Again, the history, you kind of wonder why it is that Americans are so fascinated with this issue of abortion one way or the other. This has not been and is still not the case, say, in Israel, where there's kind of formality, but any woman who wants to have an abortion has an abortion, and there's no big deal.
Right.
Judaism deals with abortions quite differently than, say, Catholicism
Sure.
or others. And so another thing that you could hear in earlier comments is I'm fascinated by culture and how culture varies from country to country, from society to society, and what is kind of beneficial that should be adopted and what should be rejected.
Yeah, there's protocols in every country and procedures and cultural norms, and it's just fascinating to learn about it and understand it. Yeah, and I can hear the lifelong learner in you. What's the last movie you watched, or the last thing you streamed, or what you're kind of looking at on the screen?
Well, that kind of is embarrassing because it's been quite a while since I've read fiction or watched movies. I know that my wife watches quite a lot because I can see on my Amazon account that there are those charges for subscriptions.
Sure.
Um, and so, I have a strong preference for the nonfiction,
Right.
for making sense
Documentaries,
of,
history.
yeah, making sense of the world. And so I read a lot of stuff, written by political scientists, by sociologists, and so on. And so, I kind of understand people who are fascinated by fiction. It's fun for them, kind of like being kosher. If you
Yeah.
like being kosher, enjoy. I don't.
Yeah.
So I don't. I don't. It's not that I don't read. I mean, I've read many fictions, many pieces of fiction, such as by Amos Oz,
Yeah. Amos Oz, I know him
right?
well. Yes.
An Israeli author about Judah, kind of a different take on Judah, the one who betrayed Jesus.
Yes.
Uh, and I got into that. It is set in Jerusalem. I know Jerusalem, and I could walk with the author through the streets and experience that. And of course, the story is one where I have knowledge that puts it in context. It is
Sure.
just that I don't do much of it.
Well, walking the streets of Jerusalem is special for anybody. And I know you know those streets so well at Hebrew University, and in another lifetime, another, dare I say, century in the past century. But it's an area that I've been to, and it's just so special. I think we're going to finish off walking the streets of Jerusalem in our conversation today